Hi folks, this is all the fruit, and here I'm standing again amongst a lot of confusing date palms. Sorry for the loud sounds, by the way. I just moved 100 meters away from one construction site and encountered another. Well, 15-20 years ago I thought I had figured out all those date palms. Like this here is for sure a Phoenix dactylifera. This here is for sure a Phoenix canariensis. And last, but yeah, I don't know, maybe least, because it's by far the smallest one. This one looks a lot like a Phoenix senegalensis. And then it started with all those hybrids and intermediates between dactylifera and canariensis. Here on the Canary island of Tenerife, both species have coexisted for hundreds of years. Canariensis, of course, is the endemic native palm of the island. Somewhere around the 15th century, probably the Europeans or the North Africans, the Moroccans introduced Phoenix canariensis to the eastern Phoenix dactylifera to the eastern Canary Islands, maybe even in the 14th or 15th century. I'm pretty sure the Spanish introduced Phoenix dactylifera to Tenerife somewhere in the 16th century. So for about 500 years, Phoenix dactylifera and Phoenix canariensis have been coexisting here, and it's well documented that they are hybrids and intermediates. So far so good. But recently I read that the teeny tiny Phoenix senegalensis, which has been a very popular pin-sized ornamental date palm, after some genetic studies has turned out to be kind of a variety of Phoenix canariensis, of the much bigger and much more massive Phoenix canariensis. And so everything gets even more confusing. Here, this wonderful palm walk, I'm pretty sure was constructed when this area was developed, and they basically gathered all the palms, all the date palms which were growing around, and planted them in 2 rows. That's at least my suspicion, because they are all of different shapes and sizes. Different sizes means different age. Different shapes means that they didn't just gather them from one nursery with identical plants, but that they collected them probably in the wild or in abandoned orchards, or maybe in orchards which were being bulldozed in order to build those hotels. Here on the rocky slope you can see some wild or maybe feral, but probably wild Phoenix canariensis. So I already made a video here about the Phoenix canariensis dactylifera hybrids. And then I saw this one. I mean, most people would call this a Phoenix senegalensis. It's really teeny tiny. The stem is very thin. The palm is very short. The leaves are very small. I'm sure the fruit were also very small because the inflorescences are very small. But has this been planted here from some nursery? It would be the only one in this row. And also it's branching around the base, which I haven't seen like planted Phoenix senegalensis to. And also it looks a little bit different from the typical Phoenix senegalensis from nurseries. Here is a similar plant, which I would normally call a hybrid between dactylifera and canariensis. And it's possible that it's just a hybrid between dactylifera and canariensis, but it's growing right next to this tree. Makes me wonder if they were collected here in the area, they probably also grew pretty close together. Then there is this tree here. It could also just be a hybrid of dactylifera and canariensis. But then there is this tree here. And this one looks a lot like senegalensis, but not exactly like senegalensis. It's a lot thinner than Dactylifera or canariensis, but it doesn't seem to be malnourished because, look, it has 4 inflorescences with a total of maybe close to 1,000 fruit. By the way, this big fruit is not from it, it's from a Phoenix Dactylifera growing right there. So, this one is quite puzzling. This seems like an intermediate between senegalensis and something else. Of course, since even this senegalensis thing seems to have fooled people for many decades, it has been planted all over the world and nobody realized that it could be just a form or variation or subspecies or mutation of the much more massive Phoenix canariensis. So I do not claim to know what this stuff is. What I claim to do is taste the fruit. Okay, I dropped a lot of them here, but they look like they are not in a good condition. Well, still we can open one. Almost no flesh, very dry. I think even when this was kind of fresh, there was not a lot of flesh. Strange. Those fruit don't look too old. There should be a couple fairly nice and edible ones here. Nope. They all look too old, but what I can say is that they are a lot more dry and shriveled up than an average canariensis or an average senegalensis, and of course much more dry and shriveled up and with less flesh than Dactylifera. But the flesh is sweet nevertheless. Here a close-up of the leaves. So I think this is quite interesting. This seems to be size-wise and also shape-wise some intermediate between senegalensis and Dactylifera / canariensis. I'm not sure what this here is. And this here seems to be like some form which is pretty close to senegalensis, but it does not look exactly like the senegalensis which is grown in the parks and gardens around here. What do you think, folks? This is already the second video I made in this palm walk, and it's maybe even more confusing than the first one. Tell me what you think about those different trees. Stay tuned for a lot more fruit videos from the parks and gardens of Tenerife. And don't forget to like, share, comment and subscribe.